Hello everyone, it's Jacob, here to fill you in on some of the details of what's going to be going on with this channel in the near future with the Kingdom Hearts Let's Plays, among other things, filling you in on all of the details that perhaps I haven't discussed otherwise, or that you might not know about otherwise. I am hopefully just going to record this in one take, because I really don't have time to mess with editing this. I have more pressing matters to attend to, as we'll discuss in just a moment, so I apologize if there are some gaps and gaffes in here. I'm really not going to do anything to clean this up. I'm probably just going to talk for a while and slap some random gameplay on in the background. I don't even know what. I'll find something in my PS4 share files or something from an LP, and I'll just slap it on in the background. So, sorry this isn't necessarily the most engaging way that I could be doing this. But anyway, I'm hoping to do updates somewhat like this, not necessarily on a monthly basis, but somewhat regularly, maybe every 2 months or whenever I feel like one has to happen to kind of explain what's going on, but somewhat regularly. Hopefully they'll usually be shorter than this one, because with this one I have to kind of explain what the format's going to be and a bunch of details of stuff that's just happened like in the last year, really. For general purpose, just updates about stuff. I've done one on our Patreon page that was basically just all written. There was some stuff in there about research runs, some stuff in there about the main channel. My thought process is I'm figuring I can do recorded video updates kind of like this for research runs, and do written stuff kind of for the main channel and for Patreon itself, and then there will be the Patreon blog post, if you will have the video embedded for research runs updates, and then written stuff for everything else. So point of reference, if you don't know about the Patreon page, don't worry, I haven't promoted it at all, but there will be a link in the description probably, or maybe in the cards on this video or whatever, to send you over there should you want to read the stuff about other channel stuff. It's all free, or at least these updates are free. There is stuff on my Patreon that's behind a paywall, but there's also stuff on there that you can just read, that's just there, that anybody can read, and you don't have to pay any money, you just have to go to the website. My hope is to eventually almost borderline use the Patreon as a blog, where there is some stuff that is behind a paywall, but there's also just a lot of written stuff that's just on there for anybody to see. But part of the reason why I haven't been shilling the page and why I haven't been telling people to go there, and indeed I would encourage you to not necessarily give me money on the page right now, is because it really isn't necessarily supposed to exist yet. I really wanted to only start that page after I'd spent enough time to amass kind of a certain quantity of content that I wanted to go on there, until I had the time to actually manage it properly, but I barely have time to manage the YouTube stuff as it exists. Really, I don't have time, or at least I didn't have time until relatively recently. And I wouldn't have started the Patreon until I felt more confident in my ability to run it the way that I wanted to run it. However, Patreon basically did a kind of change to their policies several months ago. Basically, if you had an account before a certain date, then you were grandfathered into the old model, and the old model was more preferable to me. So I had to go ahead and make the page then to get everything to work the way that I wanted it to. Which is why I haven't really promoted it. I made it and basically just said on Twitter, hey, it exists, you can go if you want to, but the point is that there's not much on there right now for you to experience if you give me money or whatever. So I actively encourage you to, if you want actual bonus content for your money or whatever, hold off until there's a bit more on the platform. I have put stuff on there in the past, like scripts for upcoming videos. I put a preview of the one of the videos that I did recently on the main channel. I say recently, like 3 months ago, on the main channel. I put up, when I had like about half of it done, I put a preview of it on the page that you could see if you were a supporter over there for a certain amount of money. There's several things that you can just read if you don't have an account, and the only thing I think would be considered something that a lot of you guys might hypothetically like to see is that whole stupid fanfiction rewrite of the opening sequence of Kingdom Hearts 2, the whole Roxas sequence that I've been talking about doing for ages, that I talk about in the Kingdom Hearts 2 playthrough. You can read what I estimate to be about 70% of it over there right now. I haven't worked on it in quite some time. I've just been busy with other things, and I started that project, I want to say in like 2016 or something like that, so my energy on that is, it's just taken me so long that so many other things came up that my energy on that is somewhat diminished, but I am planning on devoting the time to at least finish the first rough draft of it by the end of the year. But I like I said, I don't want to shill the Patreon because it's really not where I want it to be yet. One of the main features of it that we've talked about doing is movie commentary tracks, and I've just been trying to make sure that we're okay on legality stuff. I'm trying to make sure recording setup stuff works okay, and we just haven't gotten around to doing it yet. Again, another thing that I'm hoping to do very soon, but just hasn't happened yet. So I'm only talking about the Patreon right now insofar as to explain that there will be written updates there that kind of go along with these video updates. Every time one of these video updates show up, there will be a written update about other stuff over there as well. And if you want to go over there and look at some of the stuff that's available for free, you are welcome to, but I actively discourage you to give me money right now if you want, like, the content stuff. If you just are feeling particularly altruistic and you want to donate some money to us, it is more or less just a donation right now because there's not that much over there. We would very much appreciate it, but absolutely no pressure. And if you, like I said, I am encouraging you to not at this point in time. I honestly almost don't even want the page to be up right now, but it's just, like I said, it's just kind of what I had to do. But enough of that. I've been talking about that for too long now, but I had to kind of at least explain the basics of that. So now let us move on to talking about actual Let's Play stuff. The Dream Drop Distance playthrough ends tomorrow. The final episode comes out tomorrow, and the first part of Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep 0.2, A Fragmentary Passage, will come out on Friday, November 29th, and that playthrough is only 3 parts long. First part's on that Friday, November 29th, and then parts 2 and 3 will be out on December 2nd and 3rd. You will see 2 kind of minor KH things between that and KH3. Basically, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to go into it right now. You'll find out later. But Kingdom Hearts 3 Part 1 will release on December 8th, which is a Sunday, at least in the United States, which is where most of you guys are. Not to discriminate against any of our European viewers, but the YouTube metrics say most of you guys are in the States. So the first episode will premiere on Sunday. The reason I'm doing that is because it will be one of those live premiere thingies, and I'm hoping that, people will be able to, if it's on a weekend, it'll be easier for some people to, tune in and join in live if they so desire to join in the chat and stuff like that. And then after that, new episodes will release on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. The main reason that DDD and 0.2 were releasing on every weekday was just that I was looking at it and I was doing the math, and I was like, if I do that, Kingdom Hearts 3 can't start until January, which honestly would have been good for me from a standpoint of giving me more time to get work done, but would have been pretty embarrassing from the perspective of it's been a year since we shot the thing, and it hasn't come out yet, so decided to go ahead and push it up a little bit and get DDD and 0.2 out of the way, get to the main attraction, if you will, since that's, I know, the main thing. I know that's the thing that a lot of you guys want to see, especially since, to some extent, even though I know obviously it's different when it's me and Joey, obviously, but at least to some extent, you guys can already watch me talk about, Dream Drop and 0.2 because of the streams over on the main Frustrated Jacob channel. Now, to address the other big question regarding the LP stuff, Aidan was unable to join us for any of the Kingdom Hearts stuff. Obviously, she's not in Dream Drop Distance. You will not see her in 0.2 or Kingdom Hearts 3 either. This is not a goofy, fun surprise like in Kingdom Hearts 2 playthrough where she kind of pops up midway through and is in there for several episodes. She's not in it. Quite frankly, after we filmed the last episode of Kingdom Hearts 2, which I want to say... Hold on, let me double check real quick. I have it here somewhere. We shot the finale of Kingdom Hearts 2 on August 5th, 2018. That was our last recording session where we filmed all of the end of the world stuff and some other things. After Aidan left my house, I did not see her again until about 14 months later. I saw her again in October. I did not lay my eyeballs on her at any time between then. She wanted to join us for our marathon sessions of Dream Drop Distance and 0.2 and Kingdom Hearts 3, but something came up at the last minute in January of 2019, and she didn't have free weekends anymore. And to kind of explain our filming situation in January, we were really if you watch Terrible News, where I kind of outlined our recording situation, we absolutely crammed stuff in. For Dream Drop Distance, we had 3 total recording sessions. One of them was on January 20th, The next session was on January 25th, and then the final session was on January 26th. I believe that's correct. I could be. Wait, no. Hold on. Wait, no. That's not right, because January 20th would have been a Monday, wouldn't it? No? Okay, no. All right, that was still a Sunday. All right, I was thinking maybe I got the wrong time because I was looking at timestamps on what we recorded, and I was like, maybe that was shot after midnight. Maybe I'm off here, but yeah. Okay, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, we shot on that Friday. I think we shot on Friday evening, and then Saturday for a dream drop. Is that right? I'm not sure. It's been a long time, guys. I looked at timestamps on files, and I wasn't paying that much attention. Stuff could have been midnight, stuff could have not been. But that's an important thing to note, is that Joey took time off of work a couple of Fridays for us to be able to shoot this stuff. Kind of gave himself a long weekend so we could get through all this Cage stuff, but we'll get to that in a second. Anyway, 0.2 was two sessions. The first session was immediately after we finished filming Dream Drop Distance on January 26th. We were hoping that we would get the whole thing knocked out in one evening because Kingdom Hearts 3 was coming out on the 29th, and we weren't going to be able to shoot until like the next weekend, February 1st, February 2nd, February 3rd. So we were hoping to get all of 0.2 knocked out then. But by the time that we had finished playing like the last session of Dream Drop Distance and getting into 0.2, it was late. Joey had a headache. He had other places to be. He had a friend who was going out of town, and they were going to go and do some stuff that night. So we shot like an hour of 0.2 on that night and quit. And then by the time we got back to it on February 1st, Kingdom Hearts 3 was obviously already out. We started shooting Kingdom Hearts 3 after our first session of 0.2 on February 1st. And we shot as much of Kingdom Hearts 3 as we could over the following weekends with what time we had. We really, honestly, like, it was pretty concentrated for a while there, but I want to say there were like 2 weekends in a row where we couldn't shoot or something like that. But we had, there were a couple of rough ones. We had at least one session where we shot around 10 hours in one day. That was an endurance run for sure. And by the time that we got to, the ending of the game, it was our 5th and final recording session, and that was on the 22nd, February 22nd, I think. Yeah. On a Friday? Really? I could have sworn I would have thought that was on the 23rd or the 24th. Whatever, doesn't matter. I guess that doesn't make sense, huh? Whatever. I'll double check. It doesn't matter. We shot it on like the last weekend of February is the point. So we chugged through as much of that as we could in about 5 sittings, multiple sittings per weekend for several of those weekends with some gaps. Now, there was definitely a desire to, get it all done, but it was not necessarily because we thought we would be able to release the whole thing right away. Because at that point, I'm pretty sure I was still wrapping up the cut on Birth by Sleep, or I might have finished the cut of Birth by Sleep at the beginning of January, but I don't recall. It's been so long. But it was not necessarily that I thought we would get everything out right away. It was that we wanted to get the game done as fast as possible to avoid spoilers. That mostly worked. My brother, Joshua, who started playing the game the day that it came out, I tried to ignore what he was doing, but I was in the room working on stuff. I was in our recording and gaming setup, and I was working on things, so I saw stuff out the corner of my eye, and I saw certain things, so I watched, I effectively knew what happened in the first, 2 hours, 3 hours of the game before we started filming, and then I was blind for 90% of what happened after that. However, in the 2 intervening weeks of us not shooting, or however many weeks it was, 1 or 2 weeks where we had a gap, I did wind up getting a lot of out-of-context spoilers for the finale. I didn't know, the sequence of events. I didn't know the specifics, but I definitely had, I had in my head, bullet points of, okay, well, now I know that X, Y, Z, these things have to happen at some point. And in some cases, I didn't know exactly what it meant because, what I saw on the internet was too vague. I didn't know what permutation things would happen in, but I knew that, I had some foreknowledge of the finale, which was why we wanted to shoot everything so fast. And I was still mostly fresh. I was fresh on everything up until the final world, basically, and even with the final world, there were still plenty of things where either the information that I'd gotten was so vague that it didn't really mean anything, and there were things that I didn't know about as well, so, It mostly worked out okay, but what you need to know is that entire spring, January and February, the reason why a lot of that was so difficult was, the reason why this stuff didn't come out was because my spring semester was my last semester of college, and it was very, very busy. Like I said, Joey actually wound up taking a couple of days off work so that we could shoot this stuff, which he doesn't normally do. And I had to duck out of a couple of academic responsibilities to make sure that we could shoot on that first weekend of February. Basically, the final semester of college for me in the spring of 2019 was kind of the season where all of the seniors who are in video production and film production stuff are involved in producing the big final films that they have to do. I wasn't producing my own film, but I was heavily involved on a number of other people's projects. I could go into more detail on this, but that is a story for another day. I'll talk about that whole thing in a Let's Play at some point. But essentially, the way that these things were set up was we would have these things would be shot over the course of 4 days, where it would be like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. These people, whoever was directing and the whole thing, like whoever's movie was being produced would be produced over the course of those 4 days. So there were days where we were doing like, there's no union when you're a student filmmaker. A couple of those shoots were like 4 13-hour days in a row. It was pretty brutal, and it wasn't that we were shooting every weekend at all, but they were relatively frequent, and I was busy with a lot of other stuff, especially because one of my big responsibilities was I was editing 2 of the films that were shot. I was the editor on them. I kind of wound up being the sound editor too. I got a bit of a Battlefield promotion on them, but regardless, I was just very busy that semester. So while I had hoped that I would be able to edit, Coded and 358 Days Over 2 and Dream Drop Distance and 0.2 and keep everything going and hopefully have Kingdom Hearts 3 out sometime during the summer. As you all recall, suddenly on April 1st, the first part of Dream Drop Distance came out, and then the first part of Coded came out, and then nothing for however long, 10 months or whatever. I was just too busy, man. I was so wiped in March and April. And when May finally rolled around and school was over, I did start putting in serious hours on editing these things, obviously. But over the summer, I wound up having, I'm out of school now. I had real job stuff that took up a lot of time. And just I had a lot of stuff going on, and I just could not make substantial progress on these things. I did. And I'm gonna get some of the details on this wrong. I cut most of Dream Drop Distance in May and June, I think, within that time frame. But it wasn't really done, and Coded wasn't done. I hadn't shot the green screen gag for it, which was relatively simple, and I could have done it at any time, but I hadn't done it yet. There were some other things in it that I still needed to finish cutting. And the main problem with Dream Drop was it didn't have an intro, didn't have an outro, and I wanted to take another pass at the whole thing because I kind of blasted through it really fast, and I wasn't confident that it was actually I thought that I could make it a lot better. And then again, I was busy with stuff. My brother left to go to college himself this summer, so I was trying to spend time with him before he left. So a lot of YouTube stuff that happened was me trying and failing to get the main channel back on track after having nothing on it for a while. Getting a couple of videos out, but not that much, because again, I was so busy with other things. So most of the YouTube stuff that was happening was Joey and I, and occasionally Joshua, streaming stuff here on research runs. That was the main reason the streams were happening, was because I didn't see Joey after that last weekend of February when we shot Kingdom Hearts 3. I didn't see him until after I graduated because I was too busy. And by the time we were, hanging out again over the summer, it was we can't film another Let's Play because I've got Dream Drop and 0.2 and KH3 all sitting in the can over there. Not in the can, that implies that they're done. I have all the footage and audio sitting over there on a hard drive, and I haven't touched it yet. Some of it anyway, I hadn't touched yet. It was the idea of starting to film another Let's Play to just have more and more and more footage just stack just seemed ridiculous to me. So I just decided we would wait to start shooting new LP stuff until I felt that I had made a satisfactory dent in the KH3 editing process. So that was why we did a lot of streaming stuff, and I hope people enjoyed it. But the point is, I had every intent of releasing all this stuff at least by the summer. I thought when I delayed Coded, it was like I was looking at it and I was like, okay, you know, I thought that I'd be able to keep up with stuff on a week-by-week basis, but I just couldn't. And I was hoping that I'd be able to get stuff out, you know, in May or June, and it just didn't happen. And ultimately, it's a good thing, because if you've been watching the Dream Drop Distance playthrough, it's a lot tighter than it used to be, because I went back in probably August or September, I forget when, after the summer, after I'd finished with a lot of real work stuff, and after my brother was gone and I was getting back into the groove of things a little bit, I started putting more time into Dream Drop Distance, and it's way better than it used to be. I cut a lot of tedious stuff. I went in, and there were places where it was like, I can tell that this is gonna sound weird the way that we recorded it, so let me edit this for, you know, for clarity a little bit, cut around some boring stuff, add in some jokes here and there. Perhaps most importantly, the last two parts that came out, what are they called? The Franchise Breaks and The Worst Scene, or whatever, parts 16 and 17? I was about to say 15 and 16. It's 16 and 17. At the end of both of those, there's a pretty lengthy segment where we just talk for like 30 minutes. There was nothing there originally. It was just the pause screen and the game's music and us talking. Because when I was cutting them back before, I was so exhausted that I was like, oh, thank God. Oh, there's a part where nothing is happening in the game, so I can just set the game volume to this level, and I'll just bleep us if we swear. Yes, this is oh, yes, finally, something easy. But that wasn't necessarily good from an entertainment standpoint. So I went back through the entire DDD playthrough from beginning to end again, after I'd already cut it once, and just made another pass at it. And when I got to that this time around, it was like, okay, no, I need to put in clips. I need to add in other music. I need to put in... It took me a long time, but I put in the graphics of all the different cutouts of... Not a long time. It took me like an hour or two or whatever. I put in the cutouts of all of the characters interacting at the ending of Part 16 to actually demonstrate the hypothetical that I was describing to Joey, which I hope made the whole thing a lot better. I don't know if it necessarily made it worth the wait, but I hope that it made the end product a little bit better at least. So, yeah, again, I apologize that all this stuff took so long, but I hope that, if nothing else, the end product, I think, was substantially better than it would have been otherwise. And I just didn't, even though DDD, I probably could have slapped together an intro and an outro and released it. Number one, it wouldn't have been as good, and number two, everything would have gotten delayed anyway. Everything would have gotten delayed again anyway, and at this point, even though, admittedly, I haven't edited a ton of Kingdom Hearts 3 yet, and it's coming out in like 2 weeks, I feel fairly confident that I can keep up with it now, because at this point in time, I'm probably going to be doing some freelance work here and there, but I don't have a major real job that I have to worry about right now. And I've got a lot of other just general life stuff sorted out where I am going to the best of my ability, treat YouTube as a full-time thing, whenever I don't have freelance stuff. If I get freelance stuff that pays me real money, because YouTube sure doesn't, then obviously YouTube stuff will go on hold, but I'm hoping that I'll be far enough ahead on KH3 editing and whatnot that, like, you know, if I do get something else that keeps me occupied for, let's say, a week, that won't derail everything, hopefully. That's the main reason everything got delayed, is because I've observed in the past, when I have a regular schedule, people show up, and then it's like, oops, Kingdom Hearts 2 got delayed, oops, Birth by Sleep got delayed, oh, viewership got halved, viewership was, like, literally cut in half because people weren't coming back regularly anymore, oh boy, so I'm trying to... The point is that I want to make sure that, you know, this is all working for everybody, and letting these things... Letting a playthrough vanish for 2 months, or a month even, and then come back is not good for anybody. It's not good for the audience, it's not good for us, so that's just the situation. Again, I apologize that everything has been so slow. I hope that at least some of you had been in the meantime enjoying, you know, A Hat in Time, Final Fantasy IX, the E3 streams, stuff like that, and I apologize that everything has been taking so long. But hopefully there's not going to be any gaps in content here on research runs, and hopefully you're going to be seeing semi-regular stuff on the main channel. But again, that's something that you can read about over on Patreon in a little bit, after you watch this video, which is so much longer than any other update video on this channel will hopefully ever be. God, I've been talking for a long time. This really probably does need to be trimmed down, but man, I can't. I gotta edit Kingdom Hearts 3, man. Anyway, let's see. What else did I need to talk about here? Yeah. People have asked about the Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind DLC. We're not filming it. We're not doing it. I'm not buying it, and we're not filming it. There's no interest on our end, I don't think. I don't want to tip the scales too much on what you should expect out of the Kingdom Hearts 3 playthrough, because I think Joey and I enjoyed the vast majority of our experience with that game, and we both think that it's a good game overall. But suffice to say, we're not the biggest fans of some of the narrative decisions, and I think even if we were, honestly, I think we're wiped on KH stuff for now. Joey and I have other things I think that we would rather move on to, and because we've been doing Kingdom Hearts for quite some time now. The only things we've really taken breaks to shoot over the last several years are Hitman 2016, or is it 2015? Whenever the Hitman, whenever Hitman came out, we shot that, and we also shot Deltarune Chapter 1, and like that's basically it. We did like the Final Fantasy 12 ramble and the Battlefront 2 beta ramble, and that's like, we really haven't shot much else other than that. We've just been doing KH. So even if Kingdom Hearts 3 had been like a miraculous experience of a video game that we both just absolutely loved from beginning to end, and it was a transformative experience, I don't think we would be playing the DLC regardless. We've just got other things to do. We've got other things we've been talking about doing for a long time. I say that as if we've got like a definitive plan. We really don't. We're kind of we have ideas, and we're literally right now, not at the second that I'm recording this, but so literally isn't accurate. But I mean, I got off of text messaging with Joey just last night about, okay, so this or that or that or this, or when are we gonna shoot that? When are we gonna shoot this? How's this all gonna fit together? So we're still kind of figuring out the puzzle pieces here and there. But yeah, so no Remind. I apologize, everybody. On the subject of live streaming, that hasn't happened in a couple of months. The last time that we streamed Final Fantasy IX, there were severe stutters in the feed on everybody else's and watching it live. The archive wasn't actually that bad. The video stuttered, but the audio didn't. But everybody's experience watching that live was apparently, according to chat, a miserable disaster of an experience. Now, we've been busy anyway. I haven't seen Joey that much recently, and I've been busy cutting other stuff, so we haven't had time to stream regardless. But even if I had time as an individual, I don't think I would have, because I need to try and figure out what the problem is. We didn't have, even back when I was streaming Birth by Sleep at my last home, where I did not understand how to use OBS properly, and I was exporting it at the wrong resolution, so like you can see when you watch that the video is just terrible during gameplay. The cutscenes look okay, but the gameplay footage it looks awful. It looks absolutely terrible. Even though I knew what I was doing, I didn't know what I was doing back then, and the video looked terrible, it really doesn't stutter at all. The streams that I was doing back then like seemed to run mostly fine. And for whatever reason, and like the Hat in Time streams ran fine, and just Final Fantasy IX, for whatever reason, just we kept having stutters. And I don't think it's a PS4 thing, because I played a Hat in Time on PS4, and that didn't have that much stuttering. It had a little bit here and there, but FF9 was getting really bad, so I need to talk with people who know more about computers and streaming than I do. We might even have some troubleshooting streams in the near future here. You might see a stream some weekend where I'm just up, and it's specifically to me trying to fix stuff. So no streaming for a while, unfortunately. On that subject, since the Final Fantasy IX streams have had issues, my thought was I'm probably going to upload our archives of every streams that we recorded directly onto our computer, which will not have chat on them, but will have no lag. We'll have no cutouts. So you won't be able to view them with the chat on, but I'm going to probably put them all up. I'm probably going to upload all of them unlisted and stick them in a playlist, so it's like if you want to watch these without the technical issues, and you don't care about, you know, reading the chat along the way, they'll be accessible in there. And also, I will eventually put up the archive of that last stream of Final Fantasy IX. I didn't want to put it out until I'd made a video explaining this whole situation, and I've got so much going on that it just didn't happen until now. I'm hoping that when I do get streaming sorted out, we'll do it somewhat regularly. In the past, it's been really sporadic. I don't want to say like I'll stream every weekend because I can't. My hope would be to, if I did stream on weekends, so people would be able to show up, and that if I'm not streaming on a given weekend, I'll be able to put something else out, a research ramble, an update video like this if necessary, you know, whatever else. I'm hoping that maybe the weekend slot, maybe there can be a consistent weekend slot that it's like, if I'm not streaming, then there will at least be something, but just so we can get kind of a regular, like, Jacob streams usually at this time, because when I do it, it's so sporadic and so all over the place. People don't know what's happening, don't show up, you know, stuff like that. But that loops back around to what I was talking about previously about people watching stuff and the stuff that we've been shooting. So much of our audience is here for KH stuff that it is often difficult for us to produce content about other things and have people show up. I really thought that Final Fantasy IX would be a safe bet, and while the first part did better than any streams I've done since the Kingdom Hearts streams that I did over on the main channel, the viewership on those kind of tapered off. And again, I'm not upset at any of the people who are sticking around and watching, or upset at the people who aren't watching, because if you're not interested in watching Final Fantasy IX, then that's your prerogative. You don't have to. I'm not asking anybody to force themselves to watch anything that they don't want to watch at all. That's not what I'm after. Joey and I are having a good time, and the people who are showing up I hope are having a good time, and that's all I need to be satisfied on like a personal level, that, you know, the time spent shooting this stuff is worth it. The bigger problem is that we're running out of KH, and it's like, if there's no KH, then what's the channel? You know, and I'm hoping that either people will still stick around and give us a chance to do other stuff, or we need to find a way to expand our viewership to people who aren't just into KH, or maybe aren't into KH at all. So that's something that I've really been kind of stressing over and trying to figure out recently, which is hopefully you're going to see, not that there will be no KH content over on the main channel, but hopefully you're going to see some diversity over there soon, and hopefully you'll see some diversity here as well, even in the midst of all this Kingdom Hearts stuff coming out. On that subject, on the subject of diversity, and on the subject of on the subject of research rambles and stuff like that, I have a decent number of research rambles that we shot like years ago that never came out because I either wasn't happy with them or didn't have time to edit them, or, you know, any number of other reasons. There were more important things to cut, you know, whatever. I have stuff that, like, I can think of one thing in particular that I shot with Aidan like 2 years ago. It was about 3 hours long that never came out. There was one thing with Joey that I shot, but it was just bad. It will never come out. It wasn't entertaining. But the point is that if you guys cared, I'd have to like mark them that they came out a long time ago, so you would understand that like that's why we're talking about some of the things we're talking about, or we sound the way that we sound. But I might, again, I got to focus on editing KH3 and other more important things right now. But I might, if you guys are up for it, release some of the older stuff kind of on weekends and things like that if I ever get around to it. Right now we got more pressing stuff to deal with. We will revisit this topic at a later date. I just wanted to mention it while we're here, now that this video is like almost 40 minutes long. Goodness gracious. Well, whatever. Boy, I'm gonna have to slap a lot of gameplay in the background of this. Boy, I talk for way too long, don't I? I just can't stop myself from talking. I should stop myself from talking now and end this video. If you want to read some details about stuff that's going on with the Patreon page and also with the main channel, you can go down to the link in the description. And there will be a link to, or maybe it'll be in the card. I forget how external links on YouTube work now in videos, to read a bit more about what we're kind of going to be doing over on the main channel. Though everything we're doing here is basically covered at this point. You know when we shot stuff and when the stuff that we shot is coming out. Boy, oh boy, I got to stop talking. I need to get a drink of water, and I need to edit Kingdom Hearts 3. Anything else? I don't think so. Yeah, if you want to, swing by the Patreon page. There is some stuff over there that you can read for free. There's a tag that says, that's like public posts or something like that, that is everything that you can see without spending a dime. over there, because there is some stuff to read. Some of it you may have already seen before, but some of it you may not. I don't know. If you want to drop a buck, then there is some stuff you can read. Go over there and look and see if you think that the value is there. But as I said before, do not spend money on that right now if what you're looking for is a ton of features. But you can read more about Patreon and what's going on with that over on Patreon itself, if you so desire. I have to end this video. I have to stop it. I have to stop it now.